Two biological brothers grew up under the exact same roof, shared identical parents, attended the same local schools, and had access to completely parallel opportunities. They even went on to choose highly similar career paths, pulling in nearly identical salaries throughout the entirety of their professional lives. Yet, at age 65, the first brother stepped into retirement with a commanding $1.4 million, sitting in diversified investments, a fully paid-off home, and absolute financial autonomy. He easily spends his winters enjoying the warmth of Arizona, completely funds his grandchildren's college education, and never once looks at the price tag on a restaurant menu. Meanwhile, the second brother retired with a mere $180,000 in raw savings, a massive 12 years left on his primary mortgage, and a state of perpetual financial dread. He is forced to work part-time shifts at a local hardware store simply because his Social Security check fails to cover basic living expenses. He regularly lies awake at 3 a.m., frantically calculating whether his dwindling checking account can simultaneously absorb both his essential medications and his surging property taxes. Identical genetics, identical domestic upbringing, identical lifetime earning power. Yet, their outcomes are radically opposite. Here is the terrifying detail that should make you stop. This massive financial divergence did not originate in their 20s, their 30s, or even their 50s. The entire trajectory split open exclusively during their 40s. We are talking about a single decade, a precise sequence of minor daily choices that felt completely trivial at the moment, executed by two men who had zero awareness that they were actively mapping out the rest of their lives. In this video, I am going to reveal the exact mathematical reason why your 40s possess this outsized leverage and outline the precise operational shifts you can execute immediately, regardless of your current age, to guarantee you land on the right side of this economic divide. Before we dive into the data, a quick disclaimer: I am not a financial advisor, and this content does not constitute personal financial advice. I am simply someone who has spent an unreasonable amount of time dissecting real household balances and mathematical projections. Think of your overall financial life as a long, multi-lane highway, and view your 40s as the one critical stretch where three powerful currents of traffic converge into a single, high-velocity lane. If you miss the merge right here, there is no equivalent stretch of road later, where you can simply drive faster to make up the lost distance. Your 40s are that definitive merge point. Let's look at the cold mathematics that makes this decade disproportionately powerful. The first dominant force is peak earning power. For the vast majority of professionals, career income maxes out somewhere between ages 42 and 55, providing the highest influx of raw cash you will ever experience. The second force is your remaining compounding runway. At age 40, you still have 20 to 25 years until traditional retirement, which is just enough time for your wealth to roughly quadruple at historical market returns. A single dollar invested at 40 compounds into approximately $4 by age 65. But wait until age 50, and that same dollar only grows to about $2.50. Wait until 55, and it yields a measly $2. The multiplier collapses rapidly with every single year you delay. The third force is baseline expense stabilization. By the time you hit your 40s, many major early life costs finally peak or begin to level off. Your children become more independent. The home you stretched to buy years ago now fits comfortably into the budget, and your baseline assets are established. This alignment generates a massive financial margin. When you stack peak income, compounding runway, and stabilized costs together, you get a unique decade of pure leverage. Let's look at a concrete example. Consider an individual who reaches age 40 with $100,000 saved, pulling in a salary of $110,000 a year. If they consistently invest 15% of that income from age 40 to 65, at an 8% average return, they will accumulate roughly $1.35 million by retirement. Now change just one variable. They save a weak 5% through their 40s, and then panic jump to 15% at age 50. The final result is a massive drop down to $780,000. That is a $570,000 penalty for a single decade of low contributions. Now look at a third scenario. This exact same earner actually reduces their retirement contributions through their 40s down to a mere 2% to fund an expanded luxury lifestyle. At age 50, panic sets in, and they aggressively throttle their savings rate up to 20%, all the way to the finish line. Despite that intense, painful correction, they still land at just $590,000 by age 65. Their comfortable 40s cost them a staggering $760,000 in absolute wealth compared to steady saving. Let's dissect the specific lifestyle decisions that cause this catastrophic damage, starting with housing. Your 40s bring an intense psychological pull to upgrade to a home that reflects your career success. Upgrading from a solid $350,000 home to an upscale $600,000 property pushes your monthly housing costs up by $1,500 to $2,000. That is up to $24,000 a year, stripped away from your compounding engine. Over 25 years, that single upgrade cost you $900,000 to $1.3 million in future freedom. Next up are vehicles, rolling around in two $45,000 SUVs instead of two reliable $28,000 sedans, tax on heavy auto debt, elevated insurance, and premium maintenance costs. Depending on how frequently you cycle through new cars, that luxury badge premium quietly drains $200,000 to $400,000 from your retirement nest egg. Then comes the trap of funding an inflated children's lifestyle, where taking on massive Parent Plus university loans quietly liquidates the parent's retirement to fund kids who have their entire peak earning decades ahead of them. The fourth factor is career risk tolerance. Your 40s represent the final strategic window for aggressive income acceleration, seeking equity positions or high-premium roles. Unfortunately, most professionals become hyper-risk averse right when they should be taking calculated swings, costing them an easy $30,000 to $40,000 a year in lost income expansion. Stacked on top of lifestyle inflation, where you bleed cash trying to match the curated spending of your social peer group, the wealth gap quickly crosses the $1 million mark. Let me show you exactly how these decisions play out in the real world through two couples who started in identical positions. David and Christine reached age 40 with $185,000 saved, a modest $320,000 home, and a solid combined income of $165,000. David insisted on upgrading to a $575,000 house in an exclusive development. Christine reluctantly agreed, and they covered the new $1,650 monthly deficit by slash-cutting their retirement contributions from 15% down to a minimal 6%. At no point did David and Christine feel like they were being financially reckless. Every single upgrade felt entirely reasonable in isolation. Yet, by age 50, their retirement accounts held just $240,000, a pathetic $55,000 increase over an entire decade of peak working years. When they finally hit age 65, their total accumulated nest egg sat at $685,000. It sounded decent on paper until their actual retirement models revealed they would completely run out of money by age 82. Now look at Robert and Jennifer. At age 40, their metrics were nearly identical. A $155,000 income and $165,000 saved. When Robert floated the idea of upgrading to a flashy, larger home, Jennifer pushed back aggressively because she understood the brutal math of housing costs. They chose to stay put, and that exact same $1,650 monthly lifestyle difference was automatically rerouted straight into their low-cost index funds month after month. When it came time for higher education, they had transparent, realistic conversations with their children regarding tuition costs, resulting in both kids attending state universities on merit-based scholarships. Through their entire 40s, their lifestyle looked noticeably modest compared to their over-leveraged neighbors. But by age 50, their retirement account soared past $580,000. By age 65, they accumulated $1.65 million, fully paid off their home, and secured total financial immunity. Here is the most profound takeaway from behavioral research. During that entire 10-year stretch, both families reported the exact same levels of life satisfaction. Lifestyle inflation only provides a temporary neurological spike in happiness. Within 18 months, humans completely adapt to their new consumption baseline. David and Christine did not actually enjoy their 40s more than Robert and Jennifer. They simply burned cash for zero lasting satisfaction, while permanently crippling every single decade that followed. If you are currently in your 20s or 30s, lock in the automated habits now that will insulate you from lifestyle creep later. If you are entering your 40s today, ruthlessly audit your fixed overhead. Remember that every single yes to an upgraded lifestyle is a silent, binding no to your future financial survival. And if you are in your late 40s realizing you are on the wrong track, know that every single additional percentage point you claw back into your savings rate right now still moves the needle significantly. The instant gratification you pursue through conspicuous consumption offers a brief flash of pleasure, followed by a lifetime of financial confinement. True gratification is the deliberate conversion of your peak earning years into permanent, unassailable freedom. Picture yourself at age 70. Both versions of your future self made their defining structural choices decades ago in the exact same 10-year window. Your 40s will end regardless of what you choose. The only remaining question is which version of that 70-year-old self are you actively building today?